All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a topic that is just incredibly widespread, yet kind of completely misunderstood by the general public. We're going to look past the surface at the hidden exhaustion of untreated OCD and really figure out why so many people are forced to suffer in absolute silence. So, when you hear the letters OCD, what instantly pops into your head? Picture those immediate associations. For most of us, it's those common pop culture tropes, right? Like extreme neatness, keeping your desk perfectly color-coded, or maybe excessive hand washing. It's the stuff we see in movies and memes all the time. But guys, there is a massive gap between that perception and reality. We constantly see this sharp contrast between the casual, everyday, oh, I'm so OCD phrase, which people usually just say when they mean they like things organized, versus the exhausting reality of an actual, often deeply misunderstood mental health condition. Simply put, liking a clean room does not mean you have OCD. The truth is, those visible stereotypes, they don't even tell half the story. Because the condition is so misrepresented, a lot of people drowning in it don't even realize what they're experiencing is a medical condition. So we're going to dive way below the tip of the iceberg here to explore what untreated OCD actually feels like on the inside. Beneath the surface, the first and probably most agonizing hidden reality is the immense weight of moral anxiety. Look, one of the heaviest, most painful ways this condition quietly drains you is by directly attacking your own sense of morality. This is the darker, much more painful side of the disorder that just doesn't make it into everyday conversation. This often manifests as harm OCD. It's a subtype plagued by violent, truly disturbing intrusive thoughts about hurting yourself, hurting others, or just doing something awful. And if this sounds incredibly intense, well, it is. You see people joking online about letting their intrusive thoughts win. But with OCD, these thoughts are frequent, deeply disruptive, and nearly impossible to ignore. But listen to me carefully. Having these thoughts absolutely does not mean the person is dangerous or violent. No way. Here is an absolutely crucial cognitive reframe, so stick with me here. The extreme distress you feel is actual proof those thoughts aren't who you are. When OCD goes untreated, people start to genuinely fear they're morally broken. But the intense fear and disgust you feel when those thoughts pop up, that is literal proof that they don't align with your true values. The fear is the OCD. It is not your character. And this misunderstanding is devastating. A 2015 study revealed that patients often delay getting treatment for over a decade. We're talking 14 to 17 years. Try to wrap your head around that. Almost 2 decades of silent suffering because they simply don't realize their suffocating guilt is a medical condition. They think these intrusive thoughts mean they're inherently bad people, so the shame just keeps them completely silent. Naturally, all of this internal torment spills over into everyday life, creating a massive hidden social drain. Socializing is supposed to be relaxing, right? But without a diagnosis, you might not understand why you feel completely on edge around your closest friends and family. It can make a simple dinner party feel like walking through a minefield. Because even without the dark thoughts, OCD interferes by totally splitting your attention. During a completely normal gathering, there's this massive hidden mental drain happening at the exact same time. Intrusive thoughts might just pop up mid-sentence, forcing you to constantly question your own reactions. You might get stuck obsessively replaying a conversation in your head, terrified you said the wrong thing. It creates this incredibly painful emotional distance between you and the people you love. To give this some clinical weight, a 2014 study highlighted just how severe this gets, revealing that over a third of individuals with severe OCD can also develop agoraphobic symptoms. And honestly, when you consider the sheer amount of mental energy it takes to manage all those internal scripts and obsessive replays, it makes perfect sense. Social settings start to feel incredibly intimidating. Just going out the front door starts to feel like a monumental task. Which leads us directly to this really unfortunate truth. Isolation just becomes the easiest option. Over time, all that constant scripting and analyzing becomes so utterly exhausting that it's often easier to just withdraw entirely. Without the right support, the stress stacks up so high that isolating yourself becomes the path of least resistance. And all this constant mental gymnastics builds right into our next core reality. OCD is the ultimate time thief. In fact, when diagnosing the condition, mental health professionals always look for one key factor. They ask, how much time are these rituals actually stealing from your day? Are they fundamentally interfering with your ability to just function? And this is exactly where that whole neat freak misconception completely falls apart. Enter a lesser-known form called rumination OCD, sometimes referred to as pure O. With pure O, there are zero visible rituals. Instead of physically washing your hands or checking the stove, your compulsions are 100% internal. Hours of your life just vanish into an internal loop of paralyzing anxiety that nobody else can even see. It creates this totally exhausting loop of what-ifs. You might spend hours silently scanning your body for health worries, or dissecting literally every single word of a conversation you had a week ago, or agonizing over past actions. Your brain is essentially running full speed on a treadmill of worst-case scenarios, and it never gets to rest because the danger always feels imminent. It quietly, ruthlessly robs you of your time. Okay, take a breath. There is good news here. Once we actually understand these hidden depths, we can pivot upward and head back to the surface. Getting a proper diagnosis acts as a literal lifeline. Getting your time and your freedom back is entirely possible, but it requires connecting with the right type of specialized treatment. And this part is absolutely vital to know. Traditional talk therapy can sometimes actually make these thoughts feel more overwhelming. Wait, really? Yes, because OCD isn't just about the thoughts themselves, it's about how you respond to them. Traditional therapy can accidentally cause you to overanalyze those intrusive thoughts, which just makes them stronger. But exposure and response prevention, or ERP, is a real game changer. It is specifically, scientifically designed to change your response to the fear. To see how this actually works in practice, let's look at platforms like NOCD. They specialize in this precise ERP treatment, but they do it virtually. They help you fundamentally change how you respond to your thoughts in the spaces between your sessions. They connect you with specialized ERP therapists who deeply understand these really hard-to-talk-about symptoms, and they back it up with direct messaging tools and community support. So you're out there actively practicing these skills in real time, in your real life. And we know for sure this works. A comprehensive 2013 clinical review confirms that ERP therapy, especially when combined with appropriate medication, can yield up to an 80% reduction in symptom severity. 80%! That is a drastic improvement in quality of life. So whether you use therapy, medication, or a combo of both, taking back control of your life has been robustly, scientifically validated. You don't have to just accept living in constant exhaustion. So if you take away nothing else from this explainer, remember this. You do not have to carry this alone. Getting a diagnosis gives the shame a name. It provides a clear, actionable path forward, and it proves that you deserve relief from the incredibly heavy weight you've been carrying. Even if therapy hasn't worked for you in the past, finding a specific treatment like ERP changes absolutely everything. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative question. If you live with OCD, what has your hidden journey been like? The exact things people obsess over vary widely, but that underlying mechanism, it's exactly the same. Sharing your story might just help someone else out there feel a little